Welcome back. I'm your host, Mr. B. Today we are discussing the tension that's happening between Tucker Carlson and Patrick Bet-David. Unfortunately, it seems like the two men are at odds with each other. Possibly because they have different interests. Tucker Carlson's anti this war that President Trump and Netanyahu has waged against Iran, and he is trying to talk the president off the ledge. Patrick Bet-David, obviously he's of Iranian descent. He wouldn't mind seeing the Ayatollah toppled and the regime change happening. So, not that I've heard him be a super big advocate of the war, but he has been a bit more friendly towards Bibi Netanyahu, who's kind of anti-Tucker Carlson. The two men are at odds. And so Tucker kind of sees Patrick Bet-David as part of that right-wing group that's buddying with the Israeli government. So the two have some differences there. I found a video recently made, maybe a day or two ago, by Patrick Bet-David that I thought was a very mature way of handling it, where he essentially responds to some of Tucker Carlson's allegations or statements made about him in the past, and he sets the record straight. I liked the video, and I thought it'd be important to share it because I think it's a good way to showcase how one should handle disagreements. So that being said, and showcase that video. It's called My Response to Tucker Carlson. Just jumping in now. Just gotta stream it.
Bet-David on his podcast a day or two ago. Watch this.
I don't know why Catholics, have this issue with Jews. I don't know what it is. They have this. I don't listen. I get the Jews have issues with Christians, and they'll make fun and they'll say stuff like, "Oh, your Jesus is gonna do." They'll say, "Well, he was a Jew anyways, right?" Yeah. But then Catholics have that issue with Jews. And they act like, they're all innocent and everything. And when you look at Catholics, the amount of centralized power they have. Centralized. If you know what the total Catholic population is worldwide? It's like 1.213 billion. Jews are 15 million.
15 million.
But Jews are decentralized, meaning Jews don't have somebody they listen to that says, "Hey, you better do this." Catholics, God forbid you say something about the Pope. They're like, "Hey, man, listen. Yeah. Who is that Pope figure in the Christian community? We don't have one." No. If I ask you right now who's the Pope in the Christian community, you don't have somebody to look at. Who is a witch pastor?
Yeah, exactly. No, they don't.
We don't have one.
It's an independent network.
It's just the Bible.
So if you look at only Catholics and Muslims have somebody that they look at as their supreme leader. Like, you got to go to somebody. But even more, it's Catholic.
Well, there's only two theocracies in the world:
Catholicism,
Islam. I'm sorry, the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Yep.
And the Vatican.
Yeah.
Those are the two major theocracies.
So actually, the Vatican is very much like the Nazi Iranian government, the theocratic government, the mullahs. It's all basically the same. They've got the complicated dress. They hate the Jews, as Patrick Bet-David just said. Catholics have a problem with the Jews. It's slander. It's an attack on the world's largest and oldest Christian denomination, and is taking place openly. And it's all coming from the same source, which is Israel. The issue is Israel. Anyone who supports the Netanyahu government, not Israel as a concept, not all Jews, no, the Netanyahu government, anyone who ratifies every decision no matter how violent or grotesque or genocidal of the Netanyahu government, those are the good people. And anyone who doesn't is a Nazi. And by the way, their religion itself is a Nazi religion. It's an inherently anti-Semitic religion.
So Tucker, it's interesting. I watched this video a few times, and respectfully, I want to respond to you because you're a formidable voice. Whether I agree with you or not, you're somebody that's very good at getting your message out there. And I think at this point, if there's anybody that believes in your ability, it's a guy like this who, after I sold my company, offered you $100 million contract. I even went on your friend Megyn Kelly's show when I announced it, and she was asking specific questions. I said, yep, we went to your house, we made the offer, then we spent some time together. I came to Maine and we did your show, and we've had a couple good conversations together. So I believe in you. I think you're funny, quirky, very good communication, and you have your way of doing things. It's almost like you do twist words a lot, and I noticed you did that with me. He hates Catholics. He hates this. Catholics hate the Jews, and all the stuff that you did. It's a little bit of your shtick, which I get. But let me kind of get into a few things I want to address with you in this video, and maybe you're not aware of it. A few things you need to know about me. My number one priority is to make sure America stays as the greatest country in the world. Period. Full stop. I'm America first. I'm a Christian, non-denominational Christian that you need to know about me. And by the way, I'm Armenian, which, by the way, the first nation that accepted Christianity as their religion was Armenians. And the only ones that debate Armenians on them being first is Assyrians, and my dad is Assyrian. Maybe that's the reason why my parents divorced each other twice, married each other, and divorced each other. So Armenian, Assyrian, Christian, America first. I want this thing to be the greatest country in the world. I want capitalism to be common sense for everybody, to realize that if a new person wants to come up and have their dreams become a reality, I want that to be out there. But I wonder if that's where you are today. You were always there for many years until what's happened with you the last couple of years. So let me kind of address a few things. So you said something a couple weeks ago. You said Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West. It's interesting. Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West. It's a pretty bold statement. I mean, it's like you're selling Sharia law more than you're selling America. You had a guest on a couple of weeks ago. Your guest said, that capitalism should not be anywhere near Christianity. Christianity is socialism at its core. You almost agreed with them. And you're like, yes. And you almost agreed with them. So socialism, Christianity at its core, you almost sound like you're supporting maybe a Mamdani in New York or maybe an Ilhan Omar. Maybe those two will be in your podcast in the next few months. I don't know. I'm trying to see what you're solving for. See, this is kind of where I'm at with my life that most people don't know about, but let me kind of share it with you. For 7.5 years, I worked with Mormons. Guess what? I read everything I could on Mormons, and I realized it's not a denomination for me. I'm not interested. I watch all the videos you're not supposed to watch. Ask me how many bad experiences I had with Mormons. 0. They're phenomenal people. I work with Seventh-day Adventists, and I learned that on Saturdays, there's Saturday, Sunday, all these different things. Very interesting. Guy named Juan Rivas, big community. Not for me, but guess what? I got along with them. Jews. I notice Jews, when I do business with them, it's very interesting. If you negotiate with them, they're going to be very, very making sure they get all the benefits on their side. But ask me how many times I've had issues with Jews. Never. Okay. If you ask me about Catholics, I built an insurance company with 60,000 insurance agents, 54% Hispanic. And what do you think most Hispanics are? Catholics. Never had one issue with a single Catholic in my life. And last but not least, Islam, Muslim. I lived with them for 11 years. When you say Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West, I lived with the IRGC and the Hezbollahs in Iran, where my mother and my sister were frightened to walk outside. That's this guy. I lived with them, okay? Not hypotheticals. And, we are now both very wealthy. You come from a very wealthy family. I think you also may have married into a wealthy family. And you made a lot of money. You made a lot of money in your life, and your business is doing very well today. When you go to dinner, you're having dinner with people that are going to make sure you see the best side of everything you go to. When I went to Mumbai, they showed me the best part of Mumbai. I went to the slums because I wanted to see what it looked like. Whatever part of the world I go to, I get treated royally today. Why? Because they want to show me the best. But I lived in the worst when our family had nothing. Literally nothing is what we had when we lived in Iran. Regular places. We lived in the city of Tehran. But as crazy as that is, do you know my chef that lives with us? When we go on the road, he's with us all the time. Do you know he's Muslim, and he's Turkish, and he's still a Muslim? And do you know what Turks did to Armenians and Assyrians? You ever heard of the Armenian genocide or the Assyrian genocide? You ever heard of that? 1.5 million, 300,000, 200,000. I love this guy. He's a great guy to us. He's very good to us because I isolate the relationship with that individual. And I still tell him how concerned I am with what Islam could do to America. I am still concerned of that, of what's happened in many different societies. Look at, what they're doing in Minnesota, many markets that we read about. Look at what's going on in New York right now. Look at what's going on in a couple places in Plano on how they're growing. And so Charlie Kirk, whom you and I think both admire, Charlie Kirk once said, I think it was 2 days before he was killed. I think it was 1 day before he was killed. He said, Islam is the sword the left is using to slit the throat of America. Let me read it to you one more time. Islam is the sword the left is using to slit the throat of America. Do you agree with Charlie? Because I do. I do. Because it's all like, hey, let's make it not a big deal. Let's be tolerant. Let's be tolerant Christians. Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West. Let's just be tolerant. It's okay. Let's be tolerant. Let's accept all this stuff. Let's allow all this immigration that's going on in UK. It's not a big deal. They're not that bad. It's fine. They don't live the way you do. They just don't. They don't live by the values you and I live in America. They don't. Now, if you, I have a lot of friends that, like Andrew Tate chose to become a Muslim. If you've already converted, but you've not made the announcement publicly, listen, to each his own. You're making that decision as an adult. I support it. More power to you. But my priority is America first. My priority is to make sure we advance America in a way that young men are able to make enough money to get married and have 3+ kids, preferably 4, and be able to have their kids' dream become a reality where if they want to go build a business and make billions, do it. If you want to make millions, do it. If you want to go in the military, do it. If you want to go out there and, have a regular job, making $58,000 a year at whatever company, but you're happy about your job because you're a school teacher, go do it. That's what I want. And as a Christian man, non-denominational, Christ is king. I say that comfortably. My life changed the day I accepted Jesus Christ as my Savior, January 21st of 2004. I will say that to a Jew, to a Muslim, to a Catholic, to anybody. That's my faith. And every day I fall short. When we first moved to Florida for the first 30 days, every single night, I would walk and I would listen to this version of Amazing Grace because that's the only thing I relate to. Those words, the words. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that, I want to read this thing to you, that saved a wretch like me, like this guy, regular guy, a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. Jesus Christ changed my life. And I'm a Christian man saying this, a business owner. Most people don't know what I do throughout the day. I run companies for a living. I'm not a media guy. We've grown this business from 9 employees to 165 employees. I'm in meetings from morning till night, and I love what I do because I live in the greatest country in the world. So, message back to you. I don't want to be enemies with you. Although if you want to be enemies, I'm okay with that as well. It doesn't bother me, but I don't want to be enemies with you because I actually want to believe deep down inside, you love America. You love America. I want to believe deep down inside you're there. And whether you know this or not, you have a lot of influence right now. I do think one of the topics that's going to be an issue on the ballot for 2028 will be Israel control, AIPAC, all of that stuff. And I'd like to see how that, pans out and how it goes because I like debates. I watch these debates. I watch what takes place. I watch to see where the market is going to. So I don't know. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know if you're trying to get behind a Massey because I think he's a pretty capable, talented guy. I don't know if you want to run. I don't know what you're solving for. I don't know if you're like, well, I don't care if we win the midterms. I don't care. Let a Democrat win. Maybe sometimes America needs to go through the pruning process because I want to see destroy the GOP and start all over again. I don't know. Maybe that's the vision. If it is, more power to you. That's not my vision. My vision isn't that. And I have a sprinkle of libertarian in me because I want to be left alone and just kind of allow me to do that kind of stuff. So whenever I have the conversation and I listen to it, Dave, I agree with a lot of the stuff libertarians also believe in, but I think there's an end to it because we've already started a country the way that we are. And so you and I both get accused of something. I want you to process this, and I want you to know I'm open to it. You get accused of, this guy, Tucker's taking money. Oh, Pat's a Zionist. He's taking money from Israel. Never been to Israel. AIPAC messaged me and told me, you want to come to Israel? I said, I have no interest in going to Israel for you to pay for me. I'm going to go one day with my pastor. We've never taken money from anybody. And I'm so confident with myself on what I've done because there's only one thing I fear in my life, and that's God. I don't fear anything more than I fear God. And trust me, I fear God a lot because this thing's like this. If you ever wanted to have fun, and let's just say, put it out there on the line, and again, I'll put the onus on you if you're open to this or not. Let's go hire 3 accounting firms. You pick one, I pick one, and let's get a third party that we both agree on, maybe like a KPMG, PwC, and BKD, hypothetically. Some of the biggest firms you probably recognize. You have money. You've done well for yourself. Let's have them do audited financials on me, my wife, and you and your wife, and report back to see if I've ever gotten paid from Israel, and report back to see if you've ever gotten paid from Qatar or Pakistan or any of these guys. All the businesses, all the LLCs, all the accounts, you know how this kind of works. They can kind of figure that out. And let's be honest with the audience. Let's be honest with the audience. If you're open to it, I'm available. We'll have to spend $500,000, something like that, because it's going to take a few weeks for them to do it. I am fully open to that idea if you are. And by the way, I know this may make you feel uncomfortable. You don't have to accept this offer, but I'm telling you, I'm comfortable if you want to do it. You don't have to do it because it's a little bit private. So I'm sure you're going to come out and say, how dare he want to look at my wife's bank accounts and all this other stuff? Because some people may say, well, they can pay your wife and not through you. And I get that as well. And that's why I want to be a little bit transparent with you. I've tried many times to build a relationship with you. It's been challenging. But I do want you to know that as a Christian man myself, no matter how much you go to a place to not want to believe in somebody, I've been instructed by God to try to do my best to have some grace. And I believe in you. I believe in your abilities. But I believe in God and America more than I believe in any man in America, because I've seen many great empires fall. And for as long as I'm alive and I'm kicking, and if God wants to use me as a voice to elevate how amazing of a country we live in, how lucky we are to be here, I'm going to use my voice to elevate that message. I've been doing that since the time I went to dinner with a few different people in LA, and I was inspired, and I was finally taught about how amazing this great country is, that we escaped Iran after 11 years and went to Germany at a refugee camp. And then finally came here. I served the U.S. Army 101st Airborne Division, one of the most proudest days of my life when I went into the U.S. Army. So that offer is back to you. Now, you have my cell phone number. If you want to call me, have a conversation, I'd love to. I'd love to. Your talent, I respect your ability on what you've done. But if you send your followers, and you got a lot of people that will do whatever you do, because you're the head guy at the top, and you know all the other people that follow whatever you say. So I trust all of them are going to probably attack me. I hope they don't, because I'd like to see that if the day Charlie passed, it was a heavy burden on me, because I have young boys that love Charlie. I've never seen my son get emotional for 30 minutes the day Charlie died, and I was at an event that I couldn't even get to my son that night. I think there's a lot of movements that need our help. I'm willing to contribute in my own way. If you are willing to contribute, you know how to get a hold of me. You have my cell phone number. God bless.
I think Patrick Bet-David did a masterful job at addressing this. I think he showed respect to Tucker. The guy did offer him a $100 million contract very soon after Tucker lost his job at Fox News, right? Obviously, Tucker bet on himself and started his own media company, but this was a guy that when Tucker was being attacked, he went out on the line and put his neck on the line for Tucker and put up the money, $100 million, to bring Tucker's voice and face and presence back to the forefront. Now, I follow both guys. I think I'm a fan of Tucker Carlson. I'm also a fan of Patrick Bet-David. I like his story, what he's accomplished. I think he's a great American story for a lot of people to aspire to. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. There are some positions that he may have that I don't fully appreciate or support, Patrick Bet-David, and there are some people on his show that's not as likable as he is. But all in all, I think he's a net positive for the right. As I think about Tucker, I don't agree with everything Tucker says, but I also think he's a net positive for the right. These are guys who are respectable men, and that has had relationship and influence with Donald Trump and others. And so it's a bit disappointing to see that they are at odds, but there is a bit of a crossroads taking place where guys are being put on the spot to sort of pick a side, right? You either support the country being at war for Israel, or you don't. And I think they represent two different sides of that question, right? Patrick Bet-David thinks we should be, or more positions it that way. And Tucker don't think we should be. And I think for that reason, these two men are now at odds. But I truly loved how Patrick Bet-David did it, because there has been some insinuation on Tucker's part that maybe he's bought and paid by Israel, as a lot of people will make that allegation whenever somebody doesn't necessarily agree with their point of view. And I think it's great for that guy, for Patrick Bet-David, to come out and say, look, I'm willing to do a public audit of my finances. An offer was made to me to come out there. I did not take the offer. I was willing to do things on my own dime. I have no problem allowing an accounting firm to come in and do, an assessment of my books, me and my wife, so you can know that I don't have anything to hide. Would you be willing to do the same? That's a mic drop moment, I think, because he's saying, I'm so confident that I don't have anything to hide. I'll put up the money and go on mainstream to verify that. Now, Tucker in the past has made allegations, in part about other critics of his, like Nick Fuentes. He said Nick Fuentes was a Fed, and it was not true. And Nick Fuentes exposed the fact that he's the son of a person who worked for the federal government, the CIA. And so it just, Tucker has made allegations that weren't exactly true before. So it's not beyond him to say something, maybe from a place of frustration, to attack the credibility of one of his critics. So I think Patrick Bet-David handled it respectfully. He didn't personally attack Tucker. I mean, I think he pointed out where ideologically they're different. Tucker saying that he was an antichrist or aligned with that antichrist type message. And he came out and said, look, I'm Christian. Jesus Christ is the Lord and Savior over my life. I stand behind that message. I support the country. That's respectable. He's making it very clear what he stands for. And he also alleged now that maybe he thinks Tucker is in support of Sharia law, and maybe he's even converted to being a Muslim. I don't think that's the case, but he's suggesting it based on certain comments that Tucker has made. And I just think that the two men just don't necessarily agree on certain things. Now, I did find another video where Tucker Carlson actually responded to that video that Patrick Bet-David just did. Let's go ahead and play that. Did see. Give me 1 second here. I just got to pull up the video. Let's see if I can find it. Now, it's possible that I might not find it, but we're gonna try to look it up. I saw it come through my feed, but he essentially challenged him on his premise that he was actually mm, I'm not finding the video. With that being said, this little beef, if you will, is causing a lot of debate. It is kind of going viral, and people are picking sides. And the moral of the story really is that Americans don't want to be fighting a war on behalf of the Israeli government, the majority. And I think Tucker Carlson speaks for that. That group of people who can't justify why they should have to pay higher prices in order for us to do so. And Patrick Bet-David, again, these guys are all very wealthy, you know, wouldn't mind seeing the day where maybe he can return back to his country. And so maybe it's long overdue that the U.S. do more than just talk about Iran being a problem and take actual military action. So there's some people who feel like they should just do it now and get it over with. And unfortunately, those two things are at odds, and the two men are not on the same page when it comes to that. So as a result, you know, they both represent different points of views on this particular subject matter. Now, I would like to see peace established between the two countries, the U.S. and Iran. I don't think the best use of our time is fighting Iran for things that really doesn't have a direct effect on us. Really. You know, there's been allegations that these people were close to forming a nuclear bomb for like more than a decade. They've been making this allegation, and it hasn't come to pass, but every year they're 2 weeks away. So, you know, from what I've seen about the matter now, there could be information out there that I'm not privy to that might change my point of view on what I just said. But from what I've seen and heard, I don't know that this is an urgent matter that we absolutely need to prioritize given everything else going on in the world. But I think we need to have some sort of resolution for peace. Hopefully these two men can call each other and sit down and have a conversation and hash out their differences, because we're heading into a midterm and all the major voices on the right wing media are at odds with someone within their camp. And I don't know how that bodes approaching an opponent that's very motivated to take back power in Democrats, essentially. So, you know, if there's infighting amongst the Republican leaders and right-wing spokespeople, and then the actual audience, which is the voters, take a side, the right-wing side will lose because people will either not go vote, or they'll vote for the other side, or they'll simply won't turn out the way that you would expect for them to. And the moment that axis of power shifts, it's going to be a long couple of years for Donald Trump, because I'm sure his opponents are motivated, given all the things that he's done, I'm sure they're motivated to get him out of Dodge or to prosecute him for more things. So the point here is I'd like to see the Trump administration succeed. I'd like this war to be over. I'd like for peace to be solved and for us to stop moving in the direction that we're moving. I'd like these men hopefully to, hash out their differences. I think the way Patrick Bet-David handled it was certainly done in a respectful manner, and I think it leaves the door open for a conversation to take place between the two men. So hopefully they can, work it out. That being said, I thank you guys for joining me on this particular segment. I ask that you like and subscribe and stay connected to the show so that we could, continue to have conversation and hopefully make change through our voice. So definitely like and subscribe to this channel, The Intercourse Show, as well as weigh in, comment. Let me know what you think, which side is right, which side is wrong. Your voice matters. So we definitely invite your point of view, and let's see where things go from there. All right, guys. So it's truly Mr. B signing out.